Morton Hospital in Taunton. They're now part of Brown University Health. Defense attorney Matthew Farwell, a former Stoughton police officer accused of killing a pregnant woman, are asking for a federal judge for his release before trial. They argue that Farwell's actions after the woman's death show he's not a flight risk. WCBB Channel 5 reports that yesterday's filing in U.S. District Court in Massachusetts includes evidence related to the death of Sandra Birchmore, stating that DNA tests confirmed that Farwell was not the father of her fetus. Prosecutors allege that the young woman was sexually groomed and abused by Farwell while he was a police officer. Also, there is a state police sobriety checkpoint taking place somewhere in Bristol County, somewhere this evening into Saturday. The purpose to educate folks out on the road and get people who drive or use drugs off the road. So be careful. The checkpoint is out this evening into Saturday somewhere in Bristol County. In sports, yesterday, Major League Baseball, let's see, the Boston Red Sox got their first opening day shutout since 2015. They defeated the Cincinnati Reds 3-0 at the Great American Ballpark. The series resumes on Saturday afternoon at 4:10 p.m. Minor league ball, the Worcester Red Sox, the Woo Sox, have their International League opening day game at Polar Park. That's this afternoon. They'll play the Syracuse Mets, 4:05 p.m. The Boston Bruins are back in action against the Minnesota Wild at TD Garden. Saturday afternoon at 5. NBA, the Boston Celtics take on the Atlanta Hawks at TD Garden tonight, 7:30 p.m. And in minor league soccer, Rhode Island FC concludes a 2-game road trip. They're down at Pit Bull Stadium. I guess he has his own stadium now. They'll take on Miami FC Saturday night at 7 p.m. New England Revolution are off this weekend for the international break. Now the forecast from the National Weather Service heading into the weekend. A slight chance of showers this morning, otherwise mostly cloudy today, a high near 50. Some gusty north winds here and there. Tonight, partly cloudy, cold, lows down in the mid-20s. Saturday, kind of a wintry day, at least it'll feel like it. Partly sunny, highs around 38 degrees. Saturday night, partly cloudy, a low around 23 degrees. Kind of frosty there. And then on Sunday, mostly sunny and a high near 46 degrees. Headlines, presented by Morton Hospital in Taunton. They're now part of Brown University Health.
The future is bright at Morton Hospital, now proudly part of Brown University Health. This change welcomes a new chapter for our community, one where Morton is empowered to truly shine. As a part of Brown University Health, Morton can continue to provide the trusted care you depend on, supported by leading science that lights the way. Still local, now limitless. Morton Hospital is now part of Brown University Health.
WVBF is your hometown radio station. And one of the things we like to do to support people in your hometown is to run community announcements. If you do belong to a nonprofit group or organization, or if you're an official with a city or town government, send your community announcements along to our email address. It's safe, it's fast, and allows us to get right back to you if we have a question. Send your community announcements to WVBF1530@hotmail.com. That's WVBF1530@hotmail.com. Thank you for listening. Your hometown radio station is AM 1530. WVBF and 99.7 FM. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and do not express the views of WVBF ownership or Hometown Talk Radio. Content aired on all programs are those of the host and their guests. It's time for Hometown Talk on AM 1530 and 99.7 FM, your hometown radio station. Our phone lines are now open at 508-822-1106.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hometown Talk. It is the Friday edition of Hometown Talk. I am Joey Driscoll. Today is Friday, March 27th, 2026, the last Friday of the month of March. And also, it is a very important March as well. Very important Friday in March. There we go. Let's try to think of the words there. The final Friday of the month of March, but a very important Friday in the month of March because it is Worcester Red Sox opening day. So that is huge. There again, that'll be getting underway at 4:05 p.m. this afternoon. So we'll be talking a little bit about that on the show today. So stay tuned for that. We got a lot to get to on today's program. Open phone lines today, 508-822-1106, 508-822-1106 is the number to call if you want to call in and talk about what is on your mind this morning. It is a beautiful Friday morning today. Take a quick little look at the weather. Sometimes I like to do this. This is usually a Sunday feature. If you tune in, if you listen to us listen to me on Sunday mornings on Middleborough Review, we usually start with the weather. So let's talk a little bit about the weather here. It's a very interesting start to spring here, as it usually is here in New England. The weather is very up and down, but it'll be cloudy today, but it will not be raining, which is a good thing. So that's why I said it's pretty nice Friday. You're not going to see the sun, but at least it's not going to be 25, 30 degrees and things like that. Will be a little bit windy. The problem lately has been the wind. I think that's really been the problem when it comes to the temperatures as well. Right now it feels like 32 degrees, but that's because of the wind. Wind gusts up to 26 miles per hour. Right now we're in the mid-40s. 44 degrees right now in Taunton outside of our Hong Kong City studios. High of 50 today, so we'll get into the 50s today. Got in the 60s yesterday. We're going to see the 60s again next week, potentially for 3 straight days. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a beautiful start to the week next week. We'll talk about that in a second. But 44 right now. With the wind, it feels like 32. High of 50 today, so it's not going to be that bad. The low temperature isn't going to be that bad either. 31 tonight. Tomorrow is where we have, tomorrow and Sunday is where we have the problems. The temperatures are going to struggle to get into the mid-40s. And tomorrow it's going to struggle to get into the 40s itself. 38 for the high tomorrow, 26 for the low. And then it's kind of the same thing on Sunday. 44 for the high, a little bit warmer, but the temperatures at night stay the same. And then we finally recover there on Monday. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we have a chance. Definitely Tuesday, Wednesday to get into the 60s. We're going to be firmly in the 60s, in the mid-60s on those days. Wednesday, however, it will be raining. which tends to happen in the spring, late winter, early spring, where you have really nice temperatures like this, and it always rains. When you have a string of really cold days and then you have a nice day in the 50s and 60s, it always rains here in New England for some reason. Wednesday, it will be raining. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, actually, they will have some chances of rain. So starting on Wednesday, we have several days of above 50% chances of rain. So keep an eye on that. Sunday, there might be some thunder and lightning involved. We're going to be in the mid-50s next Sunday. But, Tuesday and Wednesday in the mid-60s. Monday, we could have a chance to get into the 60s. But will most likely be only in the low 60s if we do get into the 60s. But right now, the high is 59 degrees on Monday. But cloudy skies pretty much all week, which that's not great. But at least for some of that, it's not going to be raining. So that's the positive there in Taunton. Checking Middleborough, pretty much the same story. 44 right now, feels like 33 degrees, high of 51, low of 31. Wind is right around the same. It's going to be cloudy all day today, clearing up tonight. Same story tomorrow. 37 for the high, 27 for the low, 44 for the high on Sunday with a low of 25, and really just clouds, lots of clouds this week. Not sure how much sun you're going to see this week, unfortunately. But again, a lot of that is, at least the early part of the week, no rains involved, which is a positive. And I always like to check, always like to compare with one of my other Sunday weather locations I talk about. One of them is Driscoll, North Dakota. And right now, Driscoll, North Dakota, if you step outside, if you happen to be listening to us in Driscoll, North Dakota, if you step outside, it feels like late January, early February weather out there right now. 15 degrees right now. Feels like temperature just one above. Wind gust up to 23 miles per hour is making it feel that way. High of 37 today, so it's going to struggle to get into the 40s. But good news here in the Driscoll, North Dakota area. Temperatures rebound, and they rebound very nicely. You're going to be seeing a couple of days where it's going to be in the 60s early on in the week, and then it kind of falls back down again for a couple of days there. So it's kind of like the weather kind of similar to us in a lot of various ways there in Driscoll, North Dakota. So that's your weather report. 9:19 a.m. We're going to open phone lines today. 508-822-1106. 508-822-1106 is the number. Want to call in, talk about what is on your mind this morning. We're going to get into some sports today. We're going to get into talk about some local events today. I think we're going to have a business report today, as well as stock market report, things like that, on the show today, as well, probably in the second hour. We'll have our sports, we'll have our transportation as well. We're talking about a lot of different things. We'll also give a preview of some spring sports for the local schools here, for Taunton and for Middleborough. Particularly baseball and softball I'll be focusing on. Because I know in a couple of weeks, those seasons get underway in a couple of weeks. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well on the show today. Kind of focus a little bit on some local sports as well during our sports segment. But your phone calls as well. 508-822-1106 is the number. It's 9:20 a.m. We're going to take our first commercial break right now. When we come back, we're going to get into some local stories, local events happening, as well as this week. There's a lot. There is a lot this week happening. So we're going to talk about that. We'll also get into some updated blood drives as well. always like to talk about blood drives at least once a week. And we have some updated blood drives for the month of April that I want to mention as well. But let's take our first commercial break right now. You're listening to WVB at 1530 AM, 99.7 FM. We will be right back. Where's 61?
One in 10 people age 50 and older in the U.S. have early age-related macular degeneration.
Because macular degeneration often has no early symptoms, and you don't know they have it until irreversible vision loss has already occurred. Well, when I first found out that I had macular degeneration, it was really scary. I mean, my eyes and my ribbon.
What's most important for me to see? My family, my loved ones, my pickleball game. Everything I do is dependent upon my vision.
Being able to see, being able to spend time with my children, being able to travel is extremely important. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have my vision. Don't miss life's most beautiful moments.
Schedule a comprehensive eye exam to protect your sight.
Macular Degeneration Research, a Bright Focus Foundation program, offers free resources and tips for healthy vision.
Go to stopamd.org to learn more.
It's time for home.
No, I don't want that. 33. There you go. Not 10. I already played 10. All right. All right. Looks good. Real quick. Okay. And we are back. I turned down the bumper music right now. 9:23 a.m. here. I switched to some local news stories. We had a lot of things happening in Middleborough and in Taunton as well. I want to talk about on the show today. A lot of events happening, a lot of big things happening, especially in Middleborough. I'm going to get into that today. But we'll take your phone calls as well. Again, no guests today, so open phone lines. 508-822-1106. We'll be back to having guests next week. Next week will be Eric. We'll be talking about, I'm sure, Red Sox opening day at home. We'll be giving our thoughts on what's going on with the Red Sox through the first two series of the year. Because the first two series of the year, by that point, will be done, and we'll be into our homestand. So we'll be talking about that next week as well, and talking about some other things as well. Maybe briefly the NFL, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not sure. Definitely be talking about Celtics and Bruins, probably the Providence Bruins as well, as they're on top of the AHL right now. They're on top of the entire AHL standings. They're the number one team. The season ended today. They would be winning the trophy for the best record in the league, the AHL equivalent to the President's Trophy. Providence would receive that if the season ended today. But the season does not end today. We still have a couple of more weeks left of the season, and the Grand Rapids Griffins are very close on Providence's tail there. So can't rest yet. Providence and the Grand Rapids. That is going to be a very interesting thing to watch over the next couple of weeks before the end of the regular season. We'll probably talk a little bit about that too. But that's next week with Eric during the 10 o'clock hour. But today, no guests today. Open phone lines, however, 508-822-1106. Okay. On Wednesday, we had the Candidates Night in Middleborough at the Middleborough COA. If you missed it, you want to check it out, if you're in Middleborough and you missed it and you want to check it out, Middleborough Cable Community Access did catch all the candidates night, all the things going on with candidates night. They did have a brief issue. They mentioned it on their Facebook page. They had a brief issue at the beginning of the program, but they were able to get the candidates night up and running on that. They have it up there, so if you want to check it out. But they did have a brief issue. I think with they mentioned something about Wi-Fi. So they had something going on with that, which caused them to their equipment to have some problems. But they were able to rectify that. We were able to record the candidates night. So that's up on MacCam if you want to check that out if you're in Middleborough. Or you can actually go to their website as well. I'm sure it's up on there as well. Again, that was Wednesday night. And the candidates night is always an important thing. Gives the candidates who are running a good opportunity to get their name out there and answer the voters' questions, as well as the elections coming up next week. So that's also another good opportunity to talk to the voters, as we are now within a week away from the election, just about a week away from the election now. The event, the Candidates Night, that was sponsored by the Middleborough Rotary Club and Nemaska Week, saw dozens of citizens who heard from fellow community members on their plans to serve as elected town officials. So again, if you want to check that out, even if you're not in Middleborough and are interested and want to check this out, it is available now online, the Candidates Night. So check that out. Also, Nemaska Week has been running stories on the candidates as well. Visit Nemaska Week if you want to check those out. And learn about if you're in Middleborough and you want to learn about the candidates more, check out Nemaska Week. They have several articles on the different candidates who are running for the different positions. As well, they do it every election. They do a very good job on that as well. Another thing going on is the Easter events. We got a ton of Easter events in the area. We're going to talk about that after our 9:30 news break. Easter is coming up, so we're going to definitely be talking about that. Quick update on town meeting. I mentioned last week the town meeting could be postponed due to budget issues with the town. There's been some talk about the budget and the potential shortfall, and that the town is developing a new budget. Interim town manager Joseph Perkins told the select board members on their March 23rd meeting that town meeting will be postponed to likely May 18th. Again, this is going to be to provide more time for a new budget, to develop a new budget. Every department will face cuts as Middleborough faces a potential budget shortfall of $3.3 million, Perkins said. The process of rebuilding a balanced budget will take time and require cooperation among town boards. He said this cannot be done by the original town meeting date of the 27th of April. And board members agreed with that. Perkins previously reviewed the budget developed by former town manager Jay McGrail and described it as out of balance significantly. McGrail left Middleborough earlier this month. He became the town manager in Harwich. As a first step in the budget examination, Perkins placed a freeze on new hires, restricted overtime, and required approval for purchases of $1,000 or more, or over $1,000. He also asked department heads to examine how potential cuts of 5, 10, or 20% would impact their operation. and affect the town. And also, there's been talk about cuts as well when it comes to the school committee. We've been talking about that too. The school committee's been talking about cuts when it comes to schools as well. Decisions must be made by departments and boards working together and not done hastily as well. He acknowledged that the anxiety level is out of control among employees, suddenly uncertain about their futures, and urged people against speculating about possible outcomes. And the article goes on a little bit more here. If you want to check this out, go to the Mascot Week. There's a good article on this. So again, the town meeting will most likely be postponed into May 18th. So we'll when we have more information on that, we'll be talking about it, I'm sure, in the future. 9:32 a.m. We're going to take our news break. When we come back, we are going to talk about Easter and some of the events happening in Middleborough and also in the surrounding area as well. There's several Easter events happening in Middleborough and Lakeville and Taunton that we'll talk about as well. Answer phone calls, 508-822-1106. We will be right back.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clutton in Washington.
Okay.
The 42-day shutdown affecting the Department of Homeland Security may be nearing an end. Senators approved funding for TSA and most other agencies except
9:32 already.
Democratic leader Chuck Schumer blamed Republicans for
I have
TSA
power
workers
back.
not getting paid.
This long overdue agreement to fund TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA, CISA, strengthens security at the border and the ports of entry, and keeps Americans safe. This could have been accomplished if Republicans hadn't stood in the way.
But Majority Leader John Thune says it was the Democrats who are to blame.
We're here because thanks to Democrats' determined refusal to reach an agreement, there will be no Homeland Security funding bill this year. Instead, just a few minutes ago, Republicans funded the Department of Homeland Security piecemeal. It's not the way to fund the department.
The measure now goes to the House for consideration. Israel has launched more strikes on Iran's capital and says its attacks will escalate and expand.
At least it's going to be funded.
Israel's military says it's conducted a wave of strikes in the heart of Tehran, while smoke was seen glimmering in the Beirut skyline after President Donald Trump delayed his threat to hit Iran's energy plants over the effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Israel has moved thousands of troops across the border into Lebanon, where Israeli officials say they want to take control of the entire area. I'm Charles Lemesma.
A group of 7 foreign ministers have met in France to discuss the Russia-Ukraine conflict, with deep divisions apparent over the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran. Secretary of State Rubio joined his G7 counterparts there today, just 24 hours after the president's latest round of insults aimed at NATO. More on these stories at townhall.com.
A sacred season is approaching, a time to remember God's deliverance, the night he brought his people out of bondage and into freedom. Of course, I'm talking about Passover. Hi, it's Chris Stigall, and this year many of God's people will observe Passover under the shadow of war. Across Israel, red alert sirens pierce the air, and families are rushing to shelters with seconds to spare. The elderly fear they'll be left behind. Parents hold frightened children as explosions shake the night. Sleepless and uncertainty, that's now part of their daily lives. But Passover reminds us that God hears the cries of his people and answers with love and compassion. That's why the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is on the ground in Israel, providing food and emergency supplies, equipping bomb shelters, and caring for the elderly and Holocaust survivors, bringing comfort and safety to God's children. Join Christians around the world in praying for Israel during this sacred Passover season, asking God to bring protection, comfort, and peace to the Holy Land. Visit supportifcj.org. That's supportifcj.org.
A brother and sister have been charged after an explosive device was found outside the home of U.S. Central Command in Florida.
U.S. Attorney Greg Keogh says a man who fled to China after allegedly leaving an explosive device outside MacDill Air Force Base has been indicted.
Alan Zhang, he's charged with attempted damage of government property by explosive, making a destructive device, and possession of a destructive device.
At a news conference, Teo says Zhang's sister, who was arrested when she returned to Florida, also faces charges. Their mother was detained pending deportation. Agents say Zhang planted the device on March 10th, then made a 911 call saying there was a bomb at the base. He and his sister sold their SUV, bought tickets to China, and were gone by March 12th. It was March 16th before the device was found outside a gate.
The FBI safely removed the device and determined it was in fact an IED.
Audio courtesy WFTS. I'm Jennifer King.
News and analysis, townhall.com.
1 minute.
The International Olympic Committee has announced it will restrict women's sports to biological females.
The policy will go into effect for the Los Angeles 2028 Olympic Games onwards. The IOC adopted as a standard a test for the gene associated with the sex-determining region Y protein, also known as SRY. The SRY gene is responsible for the initiation of male sex determination. Transgender activists have insisted that men who identify as women should be allowed to compete in women's sports. Critics have long argued, however, that women's sports must be kept separate to allow women to compete on a level playing field, and that men enjoy biological advantages that undermine fairness in women's sports. Bernie Bennett reporting.
A federal judge is weighing Fulton County's demand that the FBI return ballots and records from the 2020 election that were seized from an Atlanta area warehouse. Today, the judge plans to hear arguments after court-ordered mediation failed. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Okay, and to
Hey, Rex,
play
when it comes to
couple
great
of
food and
commercials.
in-house operations, you got to
Those, try to get
But when it comes to online marketing, ordering, and delivery, Devour Now has got you
Easter.
covered. Devour Now has 0% commission, no setup cost, and the delivery solution you've been hoping for. Go to getdevournow.com to request a demo and to get started today. That's getdevournow.com. Commission-free online marketing, ordering, and delivery.
okay. Let's play America Past and Present. No, that's no, we can't. It's time sensitive. No, we can't. It's gonna be Our Daily Bread instead. No, Our Daily Bread instead. All right, please play. I'm playing the commercial.
Was 75 years
So
older
annoying.
and suffer from food insecurity.
Sing the
The
story.
same things at the Paul Food Pantry in City Hall. We serve
America.
families in Middleborough, Lakeville, Harvard, and Rochester. Please leave a message on our pantry hotline at 508-947-1717.
Perfect.
A volunteer will call back to gather some needed information. Obtain your desired list of groceries. These will be collected for you and delivered to your home free of charge. May the good Lord bless you and keep you safe.
All right, good. Our Daily Bread.
Welcome to today's encouragement from Our Daily Bread.
We've all had moments with a spouse, someone we're dating, friend, coworker, or kids, where they did not meet our expectations. And it's easy to focus on how they can be better. And while I'm sure moments that's
yeah.
warranted, we can be poor managers with the expectations that we place on others. Poorly managed expectations are assumed rather than communicated, might be unrealistic or unreasonable, and when unmet, breed bitterness. Poorly managed expectations are silent killers of healthy relationships. But they don't have to be. The Apostle Paul writes this in Philippians chapter 2. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus. Christ in humility came to serve and put the interests of others, ours included, before his own. That mindset should govern every aspect of our relationships. That doesn't mean we should never have expectations, but the mindset of Christ will help us better manage our expectations. And practically, here's what that looks like. Express what's expected. No one can read minds. And honestly, whenever I think I shouldn't have to tell you,
I know, Vince.
Second, adjust what's unrealistic or unreasonable. Everyone has limits and capacities, and seeking to value the other means giving them a chance to speak into that expectation. And third,
Forgive when he or she fails, because they will, no matter how much is communicated or adjusted.
A lot of these events have
Extending the
already
grace that
happened.
Jesus extends us gives the relationship new life. How do we manage expectations we place on others?
No, okay, we got that.
Just remember, express, adjust, and forgive.
Thanks for listening today. Today's encouragement was provided by Our Daily Bread Ministries.
Okay, very quick. Shouldn't have much going on time. That's fine with me. Okay. And we're back. They turned down the bumper music. There we go. 9:42 a.m. Your open phone lines today, 508-822-1106 is the number to call. And this next segment, we wanted to switch gears and do some Easter-related stuff. Talk about Easter a little bit. And we got a lot to talk about when it comes to Easter. So we'll get right into it here. Easter is next week. So a lot of events happening. And the first thing we're going to talk about is Lakeville. There are going to be several Easter events at the Lakeville Cornerstone Community Church. The Cornerstone Community Church of Lakeville invites the community to join in on a morning of worship, singing, and celebration during its annual Easter celebration. And that Easter service will take place on Sunday, April the 5th at 9:30 a.m., featuring a blend of traditional and contemporary music, a message of hope, and a welcoming environment for visitors. The morning speaker will be Clint Eastman, who is serving as interim pastor. The brief sermon will be centered on the true meaning of Easter. The music will be directed by Larry Rubadanow. After the service, there will be a time for fellowship and coffee. During the service, childcare and Sunday school will be offered for children. For further information on this, please contact Pastor Clint at 774-213-9334, or you can visit the website cstonecommunity.org. The church is located at 111 Highland Road in Lakeville. Again, that's coming up this next Sunday, coming up here, April 5th. We have that going on in Middleborough. There will be some Easter services as well. It will be Friday, April 3rd. Friday, April 3rd is Good Friday. There will be a Good Friday service at the Central Congregational Church for several programs to celebrate the Easter season. Starting at 6 p.m., there will be a Good Friday service on Friday, April 3rd. On Easter Sunday, there will be an early Easter sunrise service at 7:15 a.m., and Easter worship service at 8 a.m., and an Easter breakfast at 9:20 a.m., and another Easter service at 10:30 a.m. The worship team will lead the singing at the worship services, and Pastor Bruce Smith will share an Easter message at each service. Pastor Doug Forbes will share a special children's Easter message at 10:30 a.m. The 10:30 a.m. service, and present each young person with a 3D Easter card. The Central Congregational Church, that's located at 2 Webster Street in historic downtown Middleborough. For more information, you can call Pastor Bruce Smith at 508-947-1256 or Pastor Doug Forbes at 508-923-9724. So that's coming up this next not today, but next Friday and also Sunday as well. For Good Friday and also Easter Sunday. A lot going on there in Middleborough. Going on as well in Middleborough tomorrow, I apologize, not today, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Middleborough Town Hall, join Meeting House Church for an extravagant egg hunt on the Middleborough Town Hall lawn. That's beginning tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Children of all ages are welcome to run and collect thousands of eggs scattered across the lawn. Bring the whole family for the fun. So that is coming up tomorrow morning. And I believe got a couple of other things here as well. We'll go through some of the other area things as well. In Kingston, there will be Easter Bunny photos, and they're still available now. Those began back on March the 13th. Walk-ups are welcome every day until closing time. Multiple families are scheduled per 15-minute window. So that's still going on there at Kingston Collection. Easter photos are available. Free Easter photos are available at Bass Pro Shops in Foxborough. That's coming up March 28th through April 5th. It's a great option for outdoor loving families. Also coming up, also South Shore Plaza in Braintree, if you're down there, Easter Bunny is there through April the 4th as well. Sensory-friendly Easter egg hunt happened last week at the Brockton Rocks Baseball Stadium as well. Coming up tomorrow in Hanover, Starland's Easter Egg Extravaganza. There'll be two sessions, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m., 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. As well. So that is happening tomorrow in two sessions. Ages 2 plus and up are $20 per child. 1 and under is free. Adults are $5. No tickets sold at the door, and advanced purchase is required. So get your tickets for that if you're in the area there. Plymouth Kiwanis annual pancakes with the Easter Bunny is tomorrow morning as well, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Join the Plymouth Kiwanis for their beloved annual pancake breakfast, and also enjoy a photo with the Easter Bunny as well. This is a wonderful community fundraiser. Happening in Canton, an Easter egg hunt and a family fun day at the Irish Cultural Center. That's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Canton. There was an event in Whitman. There's an egg hunt in Whitman tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Town Hall Auditorium. In Rockland, same kind of thing there, an egg hunt there at the Community Center, 10:30 a.m. to 12. We go into Sunday, March 29th. There's an Easter Bunny breakfast at Buttonwood Zoo. That's in New Bedford, 10 a.m. start there. A beloved South Shore tradition. The event, very popular event. It sells out every year, so if you want to go get your tickets, definitely be quick about that because, again, it sells out every year. Happening on Good Friday. An Easter egg hunt in East Bridgewater, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at CN Farm CN Smith Farm, $15 per child, and includes Easter Bunny photos as well. Also open on April the 4th. In Foxborough at Patriot Place, the Easter Bunny will be there, and then there'll be an Easter egg roll for children's 1 through 8 at the North End Zone. This is again Patriot Place at Gillette Stadium. Appropriate age groupings. Registration required as spots are limited for this event. Also happening, go through the weekend here, April 4th. There'll be breakfast with the Easter Bunny at Battleship Cove in Fall River, 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Aboard the USS Massachusetts for a pancake breakfast and sausage and scrambled eggs and photos with the Easter Bunny. Advanced purchase is required for this event as well. In Bridgewater, Greater Women of Bridgewater Easter Egg Hunt at the Bridgewater Dome, 10:30 a.m. Over 10,000 eggs, face painting, games, and photos with the Easter Bunny. All proceeds from this event is going to go to local families in need. So that's happening as well. Happening on Easter. A couple of events there in Nantasket Beach in Hull and also in Abington. So a lot of events in the area. You want to check those out if you're happy to listening to us in any of those areas and want to check any of those events out. You can do so. A lot of events happening this week for Easter. So wanted to do that segment to talk about all those big events happening because there are a lot of events happening for Easter, which is next week. So 9:53 a.m. Let's take our last commercial break of the hour. When we come back, we're going to do a couple of more local news things. Then we'll take our 10 o'clock news break. During the 10 o'clock hour, we'll also be talking about giving a little bit of update on business, do like a 1-minute business report, and then we're going to do a stock market report as well. I like to do those every couple of weeks, and I know there's been a lot of things going on with the stock market. A lot of up and down with the stock market. Mostly down, but it's kind of been up and down over the past couple of days. So we'll talk about that as well. The stock market, give a quick update on what's going on there. Also, our sports in the second hour, we'll do that along with some local sports, a little bit of a preview on baseball and softball season. We'll also be doing our transportation segment as well. A lot going on with the transportation segment. A lot of work, of course, being done in April. We have also the ferry schedules that have been released as to when they're going to be open as well. And it's not too long in the future here. The ferries are going to be back to full strength very, very soon. Here as well. I know that during the winter, the ferries had a lot of issues. A lot of them could not run due to a lot of the ice that was happening during the winter, and that caused a lot of issues there. A lot of delays, a lot of cancellations there with the ferry. Well, they got the schedules up now for when the ferries are going to be back in full strength. For the spring and summer months. So we'll talk a little bit about that too during our transportation topic. And any updates we have with the MBTA and things like that as well. It's your phone calls in the second hour, 508-822-1106. But with that, let's take our last commercial break of the hour. We'll be right back. 136.
Matthew Mission Food Pantry helps people with food insecurities from the hardships of life. In a few short years, they have given more than 4,000 bags of groceries to those in need at the north door of the First Parish Church, 76 Church Green, and are available to anyone, no questions asked. The demand increases every week. Please consider a donation of unexpired, non-perishable food items, grocery store gift cards, or a monetary donation via check to the Matthew Mission Food Pantry, 76 Church Green, Taunton, or by Venmo at Matthew Mission Food Pantry. The Matthew Mission Inc. is a registered 501c3 organization. Thank you.
The Matthew Mission Food Pantry is now open the second and fourth Saturdays of the month at 76 Church Green in Taunton.
First hour, food by.
Weekdays here on W.
Good. All right.
Nationally syndicated public affairs radio show that features interviews with experts discussing topics of real interest to you. InfoTrack strives to present impartial, balanced coverage of every story. I'm your host, Chris Whitty, along with a team of talented reporters and legendary announcer, Charlie Van Dyke. InfoTrack, Saturday mornings at 8:05 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. Here on WPBF 1530 and 99.7 FM, your hometown radio station.
Okay, that's coming in. Okay. I thought that event was not on April. I thought that event was like tomorrow. Okay. Oh, all right. And we're back. 9:57 a.m. here. I got a couple minutes here before the 10 o'clock hour. I got a couple minutes here to do a couple of different things here. And first thing I want to talk about is there will be an Internet Access Public Workshop. SERPED will be offering a Internet Access Public Workshop. This is regarding the local, the digital equity plan at the Lakeville Public Library. That's going to be on Tuesday, the 14th of April, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. As well. So that's coming up on Tuesday, April 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. You want to go and check that out. Is that SERPED getting the word out there on that. Internet access. Very, very important stuff there. So if you want to check that out again, Tuesday, April 14th, 5 to 7 p.m. for that event. Now we switch over and quickly talk about the state legislatures and their office hours. Let's do this every couple of weeks. Get the word out on that, because I know people are always very interested in going and talking to their state legislators and want to know what their office hours are here in Taunton. Well, the Taunton City Hall, Silver City Conference Room, second floor is where these office hours are held. State Senator Kelly Dooner and her chief of staff are on the fourth Tuesday of the month, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. State Representative Norman Orall and his legislative aide, that is the third Monday of the month, 11 a.m. to noon. State Representative Lisa Field and her legislative aide, that's every Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And State Representative Justin Thurber and his legislative aide, you can contact them by the following emails. State Representative Justin Thurber is justin.thurber@mahouse.gov, and his legislative aide, Kevin Conlon, is kevin.conlon@mahouse.gov. So there you go. I wanted to get the word out on that. So that's pretty important as well. And with that, it's 10 o'clock. We're going to take our news break and our local news break as well. And we're back in a couple of minutes. here on Hometown Talk. Open phone lines for the second hour, 508-822-1106. We will be right back.
We are AM 1530, WVBF, Middleborough, Taunton, and W259DD, Middleborough Center,
I'm on break for 9 minutes.
99.7 FM, your hometown radio station.
News this hour from Town Hall.
All right.
I'm Greg Cluxton
Break
in
for
Washington.
9 minutes.
The 42-day shutdown affecting the Department of Homeland Security may be nearing an end. Senators approved funding for TSA and most other agencies except ICE. Democratic leader Chuck Schumer blamed Republicans for TSA workers not getting paid.
This long overdue agreement funds TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA, CISA, strengthens security at the border and the ports of entry, and keeps Americans safe. This could have been accomplished weeks ago if Republicans hadn't stood in the way.
But Majority Leader John Thune says it was the Democrats who are to blame.
We're here because thanks to Democrats' determined refusal to reach an agreement, there will be no Homeland Security funding bill this year. Instead, just a few minutes ago, Republicans funded the Department of Homeland Security piecemeal. It's not the way to fund the department.
The measure now goes to the House for consideration. Israel has launched more strikes on Iran's capital and says its attacks will escalate and expand.
Israel's military says it's conducted a wave of strikes in the heart of Tehran, while smoke was seen billowing in the Beirut skyline after President Donald Trump delayed his threat to hit Iran's energy plants over the affected closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Israel has moved thousands of troops across the border into Lebanon, where Israeli officials say they want to take control of the entire area. I'm Charles Ledesma.
A group of 7 foreign ministers have met in France to discuss the Russia-Ukraine conflict, with deep divisions apparent over the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran. Secretary of State Rubio joined his G7 counterparts there today, just 24 hours after the president's latest round of insults aimed at NATO. More on these stories at townhall.com.
A sacred season is approaching, a time to remember God's deliverance, the night he brought his people out of bondage and into freedom. Of course, I'm talking about Passover. Hi, it's Chris Stigall, and this year many of God's people will observe Passover under the shadow of war. Across Israel, red alert sirens pierce the air, and families are rushing to shelters with seconds to spare. The elderly fear they'll be left behind. Parents hold frightened children as explosions shake the night. Sleepless and uncertainty, that's now part of their daily lives. But Passover reminds us that God hears the cries of his people and answers with love and compassion. That's why the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is on the ground in Israel, providing food and emergency supplies, equipping bomb shelters, and caring for the elderly and Holocaust survivors, bringing comfort and safety to God's children. Join Christians around the world in praying for Israel during this sacred Passover season, asking God to bring protection, comfort, and peace to the Holy Land. Visit supportifcj.org. That's supportifcj.org.
A brother and sister have been charged after an explosive device was found outside the home of U.S. Central Command in Florida.
U.S. Attorney Greg Keogh says a man who fled to China after allegedly leaving an explosive device outside MacDill Air Force Base has been indicted.
Alan Zhang, he's charged with attempted damage of government property by explosive, making a destructive device, and possession of a destructive device.
At a news conference, Keogh says Zhang's sister, who was arrested when she returned to Florida, also faces charges. Their mother was detained pending deportation. Agents say Zhang planted the device on March 10th, then made a 911 call saying there was a bomb at the base. He and his sister sold their SUV, bought tickets to China, and were gone by March 12th. It was March 16th before the device was found outside the gate.
The FBI safely removed the device and determined it was, in fact, an IED.
Audio courtesy WFTS. I'm Jennifer King.
News and analysis, townhall.com.
1 minute.
The International Olympic Committee has announced it will restrict women's sports to biological females.
The policy will go into effect for the Los Angeles 2028 Olympic Games onwards. The IOC adopted as the standard a test for the gene associated with the sex-determining region Y protein, also known as SRY. The SRY gene is responsible for the initiation of male sex determination. Transgender activists have insisted that men who identify as women should be allowed to compete in women's sports. Critics have long argued, however, that women's sports must be kept separate to allow women to compete on a level playing field, and that men enjoy biological advantages that undermine fairness in women's sports. Bernie Bennett reporting.
A federal judge is weighing Fulton County's demand that the FBI return ballots and records from the 2020 election that were seized from an Atlanta area warehouse. Today, the judge plans to hear arguments after court-ordered mediation failed. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Good morning. It's time for the latest news in the 9 o'clock hour. Headlines on this Friday. Brought to you by Morton Hospital in Taunton. They're now part of Brown University Health. Defense attorneys for Matthew Farwell, a former Stoughton police officer accused of killing a pregnant woman, are asking for a federal judge for his release before trial. They argue that Farwell's actions after the woman's death show he's not a flight risk. WCVB Channel 5 reports that yesterday's filing in U.S. District Court in Massachusetts includes evidence related to the death of Sandra Birchmore, stating that DNA tests confirmed that Farwell was not the father of her fetus. Prosecutors allege that the young woman was sexually groomed and abused by Farwell while he was a police officer. Also, there is a state police sobriety checkpoint taking place somewhere in Bristol County, somewhere this evening into Saturday. The purpose to educate folks out on the road and get people who drive or use drugs off the road. So be careful. The checkpoint is out this evening into Saturday somewhere in Bristol County. In sports, yesterday, Major League Baseball, let's see, the Boston Red Sox got their first opening day shutout since 2015. They defeated the Cincinnati Reds 3-0 at the Great American Ballpark. The series resumes on Saturday afternoon at 4:10 p.m. Minor league ball, the Worcester Red Sox, the Woo Sox, have their International League opening day game at Polar Park. That's this afternoon. They'll play the Syracuse Mets, 4:05 p.m. The Boston Bruins are back in action against the Minnesota Wild at TD Garden Saturday afternoon at 5. NBA, the Boston Celtics take on the Atlanta Hawks at TD Garden tonight, 7:30 p.m. And in minor league soccer, Rhode Island FC concludes a 2-game road trip. They're down at Pit Bull Stadium. I guess he has his own stadium now. They'll take on Miami FC Saturday night at 7 p.m. New England Revolution are off this weekend for the international break. Now the forecast from the National Weather Service heading into the weekend. A slight chance of showers this morning. Otherwise, mostly cloudy today, a high near 50. Some gusty north winds here and there. Tonight, partly cloudy, cold, lows down in the mid-20s. Saturday, kind of a wintry day, at least it'll feel like it. Partly sunny, highs around 38 degrees. Saturday night, partly cloudy, a low around 23 degrees. Kind of frosty there. And then on Sunday, mostly sunny and a high near 46 degrees. Headlines presented by Morton Hospital in Taunton. They're now part of Brown University Health.
The future is bright at Morton Hospital, now proudly part of Brown University Health. This change welcomes a new chapter for our community, one where Morton is empowered to truly shine. As a part of Brown University Health, Morton can continue to provide the trusted care you depend on, supported by leading science that lights the way. Still local, now limitless. Morton Hospital is now part of Brown University Health.
Okay. Come on. And good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Hometown Talk. I am Joey Driscoll. 10:11 a.m. here. 10:11 a.m. And starting here on the second hour of Hometown Talk today. It's Friday, March 27th, 2026. It is Worcester Red Sox opening day. We're going to start off the hour here by talking about our sports. And boy, what an interesting day it's going to be for the MILB. It all gets underway at 1 p.m. The Worcester Red Sox game will be against the Syracuse Mets. That'll be at 4:05 p.m. We're going to get into what to expect today for MILB Triple A opening day. And we are going to do that right now. So as I mentioned, everything gets underway at 1:05 p.m. It will be the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, and that's the Yankees AAA affiliate. They'll be taking on the Buffalo Bison, who are the Toronto Blue Jays affiliate. So you got an AL East matchup there to begin AAA season there. Also, it's going to be an interesting matchup for Worcester. They're taking on the Mets affiliate, the Syracuse Mets. That's at 4:05 p.m. All these games will be on Bally Sport. It's an app that you can download. It's free. And I think all you have to do is sign up with an account. Again, it's free to watch all the games or listen to all the games on there. Or you can go to the individual websites of most of these teams and listen to a live stream, audio stream on their website, like on Worcester. Like Worcester does have a section on their website where you can listen to every game from their website. So that's a good thing as well. Not all the teams have it. Like, for example, the Tampa Tarpons, they do not have it. That is the single A affiliate of the Yankees. They don't have a live stream where you can listen to the games there. Unfortunately, I've tried to look and I haven't seen anything for the Tampa Tarpons. Some of these teams, a vast majority teams do have something where you can listen to it, but some don't. So just kind of look at there is a on the MILB website, I believe there is a section where you can check that out, the list of teams and what options you have to listen to them if you're interested in listening to a lot of MILB games this year. But Worcester Red Sox, they'll start off at home against the Syracuse Mets. Again, that's at 4:05 p.m. They'll be at Polar Park. And the starting pitcher will be Jake Bennett. Jake Bennett will take the mound for the Worcester Red Sox. He's from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He was drafted in 2022, originally by the Nationals. So he's a probably a pretty recent pickup by the Red Sox. Went to college in Oklahoma. Last year's stats, he was 2-5 in 19 games and a 2.27 ERA with 75 innings pitched, 64 strikeouts. So pretty nice record there for him. The win-loss record, needs a little bit of work, I think. 34 games in his career with a 3-11 win record, a 3-11 record altogether. But the ERA is not that high, which is a good thing. Career ERA of 2.67, which again, that's pretty good. And 137 strikeouts so far in his career. So not bad for that. So we'll see what happens there. Other games to watch as well. Later on in the day, you have Tacoma taking on Reno. At 5:05 p.m. Eastern, 6:05 p.m. Eastern, you have Toledo taking on Lehigh Valley, the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. That is the Philadelphia Phillies affiliate of the AAA level. Lehigh Valley is. Nashville takes on Norfolk. That is going to be the Norfolk Tides. That is going to be at 6:35 p.m. Eastern. At 6:35 p.m. Eastern as well, you have Indianapolis taking on St. Paul. Then you have the Durham Bulls, the famous Durham Bulls, taking on Charlotte. That's at 7:04 p.m. Eastern. Memphis takes on Gwinnett. Gwinnett is the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. Gwinnett, I believe, is somewhere outside of Atlanta as well. Rochester Redbirds taking on the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, who made it to the championship game last year in AAA. So they are a very impressive team. That game gets underway at 7:05 p.m. 7:15 p.m. You have Omaha. There we go. Omaha, Nebraska. The Omaha team there taking on Louisville. Then you have Albuquerque and Oklahoma City Comets. 8:05 p.m. Eastern. 8:05 p.m. Eastern. You will also have Round Rock and Sugarland. The Columbus Clippers taking on the Iowa Cubs. And obviously the Iowa Cubs are the Chicago Cubs AAA affiliate. 8:08 p.m. start there. 9:45 p.m. Eastern. You have El Paso taking on Sacramento. And then finally, your AAA champions from last year, Las Vegas, taking on Salt Lake. And that will be at 10:05 p.m. Eastern. So that is your full schedule for the opening day of MILB. Next week, you got the other affiliates, the Boston Red Sox, taking them out for the first time as well, or taking the field for the first time as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. But the Worcester Red Sox, hopefully they do a good job today and get the win today, just like the Boston Red Sox did yesterday. An impressive win for the Boston Red Sox yesterday. 3-0 win. The first shutout win in 11 years on opening day. I did, mention that the record at the end of the year didn't end up being so well in 2015. We missed the playoffs that year. We were a couple games under 500. But I don't suspect that that's going to happen this year. I think we're going to have a pretty good year this year. And I think we will be pretty good this year, I think, in my opinion. Some of the games to watch today in the MLB. Red Sox are not in action today. They will be in action tomorrow. They have a day off today. The Yankees and Giants, though, they'll continue their series. That was a game that took place Wednesday night. And the first game of the season for any team was the Yankees and the Giants. And that was on Netflix on Wednesday night. And from what I heard, it needed work. The Netflix broadcast needed some work. And Netflix lately, honestly, in my opinion, has not been that amazing on many different broadcasts, live broadcasts. So, we'll see what happens with MLB and Netflix going forward. But apparently it didn't go as well as people expected, and the game was very boring. It was the Giants getting shut out 7-0. So not a great start there for the MLB and Netflix for the year. Other games going on, the Athletics taking on the Blue Jays. Red Sox fans will probably be watching that pretty closely. Marlins and Rockies today, 7:10 p.m. start. Angels and Astros. The Astros are going to be fun to watch. this year. The Red Sox will be taking on the Astros immediately after the Cincinnati series. And Astros, I think, got a lot better in the offseason. They did lose their first game of the year. But again, I think they're going to be very, very good. I think they're going to be better than last year. I think the Houston Astros are a team to watch. 8:10 p.m. start. That's going to be on Apple TV, but I'm sure if you look around and try to find it on the radio, on a radio stream, you can do so for either of these markets if you look around. If you don't want to, pay for Apple TV. Guardians and Mariners. That will be today, also on Apple TV. Again, same thing applies there. If you want to try to find the game on the radio, you can do so. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Tigers, Padres, 9:40 p.m. And then the nightcap is the Dodgers taking on the Diamondbacks. 10:10 p.m. start or 7:10 p.m. start in the Pacific. They'll be in Los Angeles for that game. So, yeah, there you go. Here's your baseball breakdown there. So we have that. We go to our local sports here. So let's start off with Taunton. The Taunton baseball and softball season has begun. It has started. There will be a game today for Taunton baseball. They'll take on Foxborough. That game gets underway this afternoon at 3:45 p.m. That should be a very good game, I'm sure. Then they'll finish March by taking on Attleboro in Attleboro. That is a league game, so that's going to be a big one. 3:45 p.m. start for that one. As well, a lot of these early season games, it looks like it's a 3:45 p.m. start. A lot of these games actually during the year look like 3:45 p.m. starts for Taunton. So there you go. That's baseball there, and that's the schedule coming up for the next couple of days. Varsity softball also is underway for Taunton. And they'll take on Foxborough as well. They'll be, looks like, I think, will they be at home for this one? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think so. I think they'll be at home for this one. And 3:45 p.m. start today for that one. And then they'll take on Attleboro at 3:45 p.m. On the 30th of April. So there you go. That's a league game as well. For Middleborough, we'll start off with baseball. Their next game is today, Friday, March the 27th, 4 p.m. start at Greater New Bedford Regional. They'll be taking on Greater New Bedford Regional at 4 p.m. this afternoon. And then on Monday, they'll take on Durfee. They'll be back at home to take on Durfee. 4 p.m. start at their home field, their home baseball field. And then softball. Greater New Bedford versus Middleborough in softball. That took place on Wednesday, but they don't have a game today. But their next game will be Monday. They'll be against Apponequet, and they'll be at home for that one as well. 4 p.m. start on Monday. So there you go. There's your local sports. As well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have some more sports. We might go into the next segment a little bit as well. We'll also do a transportation segment in the second half of the hour as well, and also a business report and a stock market report as well. And your phone calls, 508-822-1106. We will be right back.
Hi, this is Paul Lads inviting you to join me Thursday mornings, 9 to 11, here on WVBF AM and FM for Cranberry Country Journal. Still bringing you a slice of life with the people, places, and activities and events to make the Cranberry Country area a special place to call home. Join me Thursday morning, 9 to 11, Cranberry Country Journal on WVBF.
Go. 3, 2, 1, and 0. All right, we're back. I turned on the bumper music. There we go. About 4 minutes before the 10:30 news break. We'll continue our sports segment here and mention that the fight for the McGregor-Gilpatrick, and that is the AHL equivalent of the President's Trophy, is heating up between two teams, and one of those two teams happens to be the Providence Bruins, your Boston Bruins AHL affiliate. And boy, what a season Providence has had. And me and Eric have talked about it over the past couple of months. Providence has had a very impressive year, and it really has continued. They're 48-13 right now, and they're doing very, very good. A lot of those games, regulation wins, not a lot of overtime kind of things going on here. It looks like a 48-13-1 record altogether. Just an amazing season for them. 97 points. They're way above everybody else in the Atlantic. They're going to probably very easily win the Atlantic. I don't think they can lose the Atlantic, I think, at this point. Unless there's an historic collapse there, but I don't foresee that happening. But 97 points, they're probably going to get over 100. So that is going to be a pretty big thing for them. And they are in the playoffs. They are secured their spot there. Another team to watch, potential for getting the McGregor-Gilpatrick. We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. And that is the Grand Rapids Griffins. Grand Rapids Griffins are doing very, very great as well. 45-13. Excuse me. 45-13-4. And one shootout loss there. So 45-13-4-1 really is their record. 95 points. So you can see how kind of close this battle kind of is. 2 points. That's it. And these two teams, I believe, could match up in the Calder Cup if both of these two teams make it that far. So that could be a very interesting Calder Cup championship series. I really think that would be a really good championship series, honestly. Obviously, Providence hasn't won the Calder Cup since 1999. I was born in 1999. I don't think I was even a week old when they won the Calder Cup. So it's been a long time since they won the Calder Cup. So it would be a pretty big deal for them to win the Calder Cup here this year. But we'll see what happens. They still have some work to do. Again, the last time that they did win the Calder Cup was 1999. So a long time ago. Still have a lot of work to do, but Providence is really in a good spot to win that Calder Cup this year. All right, and Boston is in a good spot to make the playoffs as well. They're moving up in the standings. They're doing very, very well. They still have a couple of weeks left in the season, so we'll see what happens there. But they have a really good shot right now to make the playoffs. So we'll have to see what happens there. And Boston Celtics, we'll just give a quick update on the Boston Celtics. They should have no problem making the playoffs. They have a game against the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Hawks. There we go. That is tonight. That should be a win for them, hopefully. And they'll continue. I think they'll probably get over 50, maybe 55 wins and make the playoffs. Now, I don't know how far they go. Well, that's a conversation we'll have to have next week with Eric. But they're definitely a playoff team at this point. All right, 10:31 a.m. Let's take our news break, and we'll be right back.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. Legislation to pay TSA workers is now heading to the House after being approved by the Senate overnight.
The Senate has approved Homeland Security funds that will pay TSA workers who haven't seen a paycheck in weeks. It also funds most other agencies, but not immigration enforcement. Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said his party will continue to make sure that ICE doesn't get more funding without serious reform. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says it's the Democrats' fault there's no Homeland Security funding bill this year. The bill now goes to the House. Donna Warder, Washington.
Air raid sirens sounded in Israel early today as the military said it was working to intercept Iranian missiles. Iran also kept up its attacks on Gulf Arab neighbors. Retired Army Colonel Robert McGinnis tells the Salem Radio Network that President Trump is negotiating with whom he believes to be the right leadership in Iran.
Now, the question is, will we come to know who those credible people are that have control over what IRGC and Baji and other internal leadership and enforcement security forces, do they really influence that? Do they speak for them? Is there a unified government?
Correspondent Bernie Bennett has an update on the Republican push for the Senate to pass the Save America Act.
Democrats, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, have shown an interest in photo voter ID, which has grown in popularity among voters across the country. Still, Democrats blocked an amendment to the Safeguarding American Voter Eligibility, or Save America Act, from Ohio Republican Senator John Husted, meant to put them on record for that position. Schumer said ahead of the vote that, quote, Republicans are once again wasting time on voter suppression. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
In early trading on Wall Street, the Dow is down more than 400 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this: Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a health insurance alternative at half the cost. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. While insurance companies tell you when to join, what to pay, and where to go, CHM is different. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other Christians. You can enroll, switch programs, or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a world of difference. CHM has 4 flexible programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, or hospital that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from health insurance this year. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
110.
A legal victory on immigration for the Trump administration.
An appeals court says the U.S. can continue to hold immigrants in detention without bond. The 8th Circuit Court of Appeals in St. Louis overturned a lower court ruling that required that a Mexican citizen be given a bond hearing before an immigration judge. Last month, another appeals court ruled in favor of the Trump administration, saying that denying bond hearings to immigrants arrested across the country is consistent with the Constitution and federal immigration law. I'm Donna Warder.
A federal judge has ruled in favor of AI company Anthropic in temporarily blocking the Pentagon from labeling the company as a supply chain risk. The judge said she was also blocking enforcement of President Trump's directive ordering all federal agencies to stop using Anthropic and its chatbot, Claude. News and analysis at townhall.com. Record bonuses were handed out on Wall Street last year.
The New York State's Comptroller's annual estimate of bonuses paid to security industry employees who work in New York City reports that the average bonus rose to $246,900. That's up 6% from the previous year. The report links the jump to Wall Street profits rising more than 30%. The report also says that while bonuses are up, actual job growth has slowed, and geopolitical conflicts are posing extraordinary risks for the short and long-term outlook. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
There's a new crypto mortgage offering on the way. Prospective homebuyers who have invested in certain cryptocurrencies will be able to use their holdings as collateral to fund their down payment on a home. The new company plans to roll out the crypto-backed mortgage sometime in the next 3 months. More on these stories at townhall.com.
At some health systems, cancer care, you feel like a number. At South Coast Health Cancer Care, you're more than a diagnosis. We offer the most advanced treatments and the latest surgical advancements. And with an engaged team of experts who not only see your cancer, but all of you. Because healing isn't just medicine, it's compassion, it's
Excuse me.
who knows your story and walks along with you. We are South Coast Health Cancer Care. Visit southcoast.org/cancercare.
Hey, restaurants, when it comes to great food and in-house operations,
Okay.
you got it down to a science.
I'm done with
When it
this.
comes to online marketing, ordering, and delivery, Devour Now has got you covered. Devour Now has 0% commission.
Good.
No setup cost. And the delivery solution you've been
Let me tell commercial breaks too.
DevourNow.com to request a demo and to get
We don't need to do any more commercial breaks now.
DevourNow.com.
So-
It's free online marketing, ordering, and delivery.
Just do this.
With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander. Iran appears to be setting itself up as the gatekeeper for the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most important artery for oil shipments. The move could cement Tehran's de facto chokehold over the crucial waterway and formalize its ability to keep its own oil flowing to China. Traffic through the strait has fallen 90% since the start of the Iran war. The airport turmoil continues with the long lines and shortage of TSA workers. As the Transportation Security Administration said, the number of airport security officers quitting is nearly 500. That's since the mid-February start of the partial government shutdown that has forced 50,000 TSA officers to work without pay. U.S. applications for jobless aid for the week ending March 21st rose by 5,000 to 210,000 from the previous week's 205,000. The benchmark 30-year fixed-rate mortgage rate rose to 6.38% from 6.22% last week. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander in Washington.
And 38. 20 minutes. 21 minutes to go. And we're back. I turned down the bumper music. There we go. 10:38 a.m. here. Open phone lines 508-822-1106. Number if you want to call in. About 20 more minutes to do so. Just about. No commercials between now and 11 o'clock. So open phone lines 508-822-1106. Got about 20 minutes left in the program. So no, we're done with the commercial breaks. We just took our last commercial break of the hour there. Got back on the air here. So between now and the end of the show, no commercial breaks. Open phone lines 508-822-1106. And we are going to do a little bit of a stock market update here. As I mentioned earlier on in the show that we were going to do this. But let's do that right now. A little bit of an update here. The stock you heard briefly on the Salem radio news as the business phone rings. That the stock market was down by about 400 or so points. It is. It's down. The Dow Jones is down 425 points right now to 45,534.72. The NASDAQ is down 300 points to 21,106. And the S&P 500 is down 65 points as well to 6,413. So a lot of red today, and that doesn't look like that's going to be changing as well. Really, the only stock that seems to be in the green right now, and it's very slightly, is Apple. So there you go for your stock market update. All right, back to our sports. We've got a couple of more things to mention here with our sports. And then we'll do transportation to end the show today, because there is some things that we can talk about. We can talk about as well with transportation. We got a lot of things going on with that. Real quick, the UFL is going to be starting up today as well. There's several games this weekend, so keep an eye on that. A lot of the games will be on Fox, so you can check that out as well. Birmingham Stallions and the Louisville Knights, that is tonight at 8 p.m. on Fox. Again, a lot of these games are going to be on Fox this year, so if you want to check that out all year, Fox all spring is going to be on Fox there. So that is what's going on with that. For NASCAR, now we'll switch over to NASCAR real quick. Be really quick on NASCAR. Every once in a while, I like to talk about NASCAR because it's fun. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to watch. NASCAR has been pretty fun so far this year. Another name seems to think NASCAR is fun as well, as he has joined the investors supporting Legacy Motor Club, and that is award-winning artist Darius Rucker. Legacy Motor Club announced that on Wednesday. He has joined the organization as an investor. So that is huge news there. A lot of big names have joined Legacy Motor Group as well in the past. So that is a big deal. That is a very, very big deal for that group. Getting a name like Darius Rucker, he's a big name in the country music world as well, and in the rock and roll world as well, with his band Hootie and the Blowfish. Back in the 90s and 2000s there. So that's a big name to join the NASCAR world. Of course, Pitbull's part of it as well. Michael Jordan is a big name in NASCAR. He made a really big name for himself during the off season. So that's a really really widening group of people there. There are other people as well that are well known who have joined NASCAR as drivers. Frankie Muniz comes to mind. Frankie Muniz was the star of Malcolm in the Middle as well. So that's a pretty big deal. I also think he's doing pretty well for himself as well in the NASCAR ranks. I believe he's in the Truck Series right now. So he's doing pretty good. All right, so speaking of NASCAR, this weekend is going to be pretty interesting in the fact that this week is going to be a very interesting week for NASCAR. It's the Martinsville Spring Race, and it is going to be a big deal. The Whelen Modified Tour will also have the spotlight on the schedule this time around. The Virginia is for Racing Lovers 200 for the Whelen Modified Tour is tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern on MRN. You can listen to that there on the radio there on MRN. Tomorrow, Cup Series We'll have several different things going on. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. It has the NFPA 250 going on the CW and MRN. That is tomorrow. And on Sunday is, of course, the Cookout 400. And that will be on Fox 1, FS1, HBO Max, MRN, and Sirius XM. So a lot of options to watch that. That's 3:30 p.m. on Sunday. The Cookout 400, a pretty big race early on in the season at Martinsville. So there you go for NASCAR for the weekend. Now, to finish off the sports for today, our March Madness update. Yesterday, there was pretty big games and some pretty big upsets. Arizona took care of business, and they beat Arkansas 109-88. I still believe Arizona is probably the favorites to win the national championship. We'll see what happens today in day 2. If Duke makes it to the next round, maybe Duke has something to say about that. Duke seems to be doing pretty well. There's been a lot of concerns with Duke, and they seem to be doing pretty well, regardless of those concerns. Yes, they had a struggle there in the first round against a 16 seed. It was looking like there for a second that they were going to lose that game, but they did end up recovering and winning that game. And then they've done pretty well, going forward here. And then now they're in the round of 16. They'll be playing tonight. But Arizona's been doing well for themselves in this tournament as well. They're on to the Elite Eight. Purdue is on to the Elite Eight. They almost lost to Texas, though. Texas has been a very interesting surprise. They went from first 4 all the way to Sweet 16 this year. Kind of a Cinderella of a team. I don't think this year really had any Cinderellas at all, in my opinion. This year has been kind of, what we expected for the most part. Except for this game, Iowa beating Nebraska. I was thinking Nebraska was going to win this game in a close one. However, it was Iowa that won in a close one, 77-71. The 9 seed. Iowa is on to the Elite Eight. And Illinois is beat Houston 65-55. I thought that was going to happen. I was thinking Iowa has a shot. Iowa has a shot to beat Illinois has a shot to beat Houston, and it did happen. 65-55. And they're on to the Elite Eight. They're fighting Illini. Now we go to day 2. Day 2 is going to be very interesting. Duke has a very tough matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose tonight. They'll take on St. John's tonight. That'll be a good game. That'll be a very, very good game. Alabama takes on Michigan. It's 7:35 p.m. on TBS and True TV. Michigan has a shot to win against Alabama, but Alabama, I think, might shock the world. I think I would pick Alabama for this one. I think they'll shock the world here and beat Michigan. We'll see. The other Michigan State, they're taking on UConn. It's a very winnable game for Michigan State. UConn, I don't think, are a team that can win the national championship. Yes, they've done very, very well so far in the tournament, but I think their journey, as I talked about this before, I think they would make the Sweet 16 and then lose in the Sweet 16, and I think that's what will happen tonight. That game is at 9:45 p.m. on CBS. And then Tennessee and Iowa State. That's going to be an interesting one. That's 10 p.m. on TBS. I don't know who will win that one. That's going to be an interesting game. That's day 2 of Sweet 16 for men's college basketball. Day 1 for the Sweet 16 for the women is tonight. Starts this afternoon, 2:30 p.m. It's Notre Dame and Vanderbilt. That should be a good game. All these games are on ESPN, by the way. and actually back to back on ESPN, the flagship ESPN there. All these games are on one channel tonight, and I believe is that the same case for tomorrow? No, it's not. 2 games on ABC tomorrow, 2 games on ESPN. But today, Notre Dame and Vanderbilt at 2:30 p.m. That should be a fun game. I don't know who will win that one. It'll be close. North Carolina. I almost said Notre Dame. North Carolina will take on number 1 seed undefeated UConn, who destroyed Syracuse 53 points, a 53-point victory against Syracuse in the round of 32. That's a 5 p.m. start on ESPN. I don't expect this game to be entertaining. I don't expect this game to be close. I think North Carolina will lose this game and could lose it by more than 20 points. So I don't see anyone beating UConn. I've said it all tournament long. I think UConn wins the tournament. I've said it all tournament long. They're undefeated. I just don't see North Carolina winning. I don't see Minnesota beating UCLA. UCLA is just as good. If it's UCLA and UConn in the final, boy, oh boy, that's a final. Then we can start talking about a potential close game. I think UCLA is the only team that can, I think, handle and hang with UConn. But who knows? I mean, I don't know. But they do have one loss this year. But they've been doing very well in this tournament as well, UCLA. 7:30 p.m. start on ESPN. Duke takes on LSU. That should be a close game. 10 p.m. on ESPN. Tomorrow, it's Louisville and Michigan. That'll be a close game. 12:30 p.m. start on ABC. I don't know who will win that one. Texas. I'm inclined to pick the number 1 seed here. I'm glad to pick Texas. And same thing for the Oklahoma and South Carolina game. 3 p.m. on ABC for Kentucky and Texas, and 5 p.m. on ESPN for Oklahoma and South Carolina. I'm inclined to pick the number 1 seeds there. Again, I think South Carolina is very, very good, and same thing for Texas. So I think all the number 1 seeds will advance to the Elite 8. And then you got Virginia. Really the only big surprise of the entire March Madness tournaments so far has been Virginia. Virginia taking on TCU tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. That should be a fun matchup. I think that will be a game where it'll be close. It'll be close. Yes, TCU should probably beat Virginia by a little bit, by quite a bit, but I think it's going to be a close game. TCU are 9.5-point favorites. So I think it's going to be closer than 9.5 points, just being honest there. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, the number 1 seeds, by the way, are massive favorites in their matchups, multiple point favorites. UConn is 28.5-point favorites. So, I mean, the number 1 seeds, I think, should have no problem in the tournament. Anyway, finishing the show off today by talking about the ferries. The schedule for the ferries are now available, and that is very interesting here as we get to talk about that now. So let's do that and talk about some of these ferries. I can get to that. There we go. Actually, really quick, take a quick commercial break so I can get that up. I had that up and now I don't have that up. So let's take a quick commercial break and then we'll get that up and we'll talk about the MBTA and the ferries and our transportation segment here. A quick little transportation segment to end the show today. We'll be right back. Don't have that up.
WVBF is your hometown radio station. And one of the things we like to do to support people in your hometown is to run community announcements. If you do belong to a nonprofit group or organization, or if you're an official with the city or town government, send your community announcements along to our email address. It's safe, it's fast, and allows us to get right back to you if we have a question. Send your community announcements to WVBF1530@hotmail.com. That's WVBF1530@hotmail.com. Thank you for listening. Your hometown radio station is AM 1530. WVBF and 99.7 FM.
Okay, we're back here on Hometown Talk. Got a couple minutes left in the program today. We're going to go over the schedule here for the reopening or the full restoration there for the season of the ferries. Then we're going to talk about blood drives. I mentioned that earlier. I don't think we talked about that here yet, so we'll talk about that to end the show today. But first off, the spring service changes will go into effect for the ferries starting Monday. Starting Monday for one of them. That is the East Boston Ferry Service. March 30th, this Monday, the East Boston Ferry Service will resume. Next week on April the 5th, bus and subway, including better bus service network changes will happen. And then April 27th, the Lynn, Quincy, and Winthrop ferries, weekday service that resumes. And on May 23rd, the Hingham, Hull, Lynn, Quincy, and Winthrop ferries, that weekend service resumes as well. So there's your schedule for the spring for the ferries. And you know when it's getting close to spring or in the springtime when the ferries release the schedule for their spring season. And I've been on the ferries before, and those are very fun. Very fun. So that's something I would recommend there, the ferries there for the MBTA. So there you go. That's your little update on that. Not much going on with the MBTA, I don't think. If I take quickly to look at this, Foxborough stuff going on there in Foxborough, that will be done probably by the end of May, in time for the World Cup. There was in Foxborough, there is improvements being done to that station that could be done, should be done by the end of May there. So we have that going on. Really not a whole lot going on for a lot of things. For the Providence Stoughton line, there is one thing to mention, one new thing it looks like to mention. Wickford Junction parking from March through June, that will be undergoing renovation. The garage there at Wickford Junction, visitors can expect one level at a time to be inaccessible as work crews work to finish each floor. So they're doing work there at Wickford Junction. They're still doing work there at Providence Station as well. So that continues. So not a lot going on. Not a lot of new stuff going on other than the Wickford Junction thing. All right, so let's talk a little bit about our blood drives real quick before we end the show today. Our blood drives, we have one coming up for the month of March remaining here. Sunday, the 29th of March, this Sunday, the Mayflower Lodge AF and AM, 46 South Main Street. in Middleborough, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for that blood drive. Then we have a couple of April 1st, Thursday, April 2nd, Rosebrook Event Center, 50 Rosebrook Place, number 1, Wareham, 1 p.m. to 5:45 p.m. for that blood drive. Friday, April 17th, at the Middleborough Elks Lodge, 1274, 24 High Street, Middleborough, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for that blood drive. Saturday, April 18th, St. Thomas Aquinas Church, Parish Center, 103 Center Street in Bridgewater, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for that blood drive. And finally, Saturday, April 25th, 2026, at 80 Spring Street in Bridgewater, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the BTV Access Corporation, and that's part of the First Responder Day. Again, that's Saturday, April 25th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 80 Spring Street at BTV Access Corporation. So there you go. There's your blood drives for the remainder of March and all of April there. And there'll be more to talk about when we get close to May as well. I believe there's one in Middleborough in early May. And we're going to talk about here when it gets a little bit closer. In Middleborough High School, I believe, in May. First couple of days of May, there's a blood drive there as well. So we'll talk more about that once it gets a little bit closer. So that'll do it for today's program. Hope everyone enjoyed today's program. I will be back on the air on Sunday morning for another edition of Middleborough in Review. It'll just be me during this Middleborough in Review coming up this Sunday. Don will be on the train heading home from Florida. He's taking the auto train. Maybe we'll get his experience, his opinion on that. The following Sunday, we'll get his opinion on that. But he's taking the auto train, I think, home on Sunday, or this weekend, pretty much. So he will not be with us on Sunday morning, so it'll just be me on Middleborough Review. So stay tuned for that, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. this Sunday morning. And I'll be back once again for another edition of Middleborough Matters on Monday, 11 a.m. to 12. And we'll be back for another edition of Hometown Talk next Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Bye-bye. That is not what I want. I want 33. There we go. Not what I want.
We are AM 1530, WVBF, Middleborough, and W259DD, Middleborough Center, 99.7 FM, your hometown station.
Okay. That's good. All right. That's good. That's good. That's off. Perfect. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching today's program or listening to today's program. All right. I'll be back next week for another edition of Hometown Talk. Till then, have a great week, everybody, and bye-bye. Not a minute. There we go. End.